So, do I need to memorize lines while giving a speech?
Okay, that's a good question. That's actually it's a simple question, um, but the answer is not as simple. So, do I need to memorize lines? No. You are not performing Shakespeare. You are not acting in a play. You are not doing something so intense that one mistake will ruin the entire enterprise. All right, so calm down, be comfortable, and if you are confident, remember I'm always talking about my 3 C's. If you're confident, you'll be fine. Um, Memorize the ideas and the format. The format could also be described as the order. Okay. Now, this is one of those things where even the most seasoned professionals among us can slip up somewhat, because if we go into an audition, or if we go into some sort of speech or any kind of professional presentation, if we are holding it in our hand, we are depending on it. Okay, what you want to do is to be confident enough to be using it as a map, but not word for word. Okay, now I'm not talking about, see, we often envision that we are the president or we're a senator. That's rarely going to happen. We are people who are basically trying to communicate everyday business, professional ideas to groups of people in the same boat as us. Now, we do not need to memorize every line exactly, but we do need to know what we're talking about. Now, again, this is the through line. This is the through line of all of my lessons that I teach my public students: is be prepared. Okay, just know your material. What's the worst that can happen if you forget a line? Hopefully, you would have won over the confidence of your audience. Okay, so you can be relaxed enough to, what's the best way to phrase this? To adapt on the fly. Okay, if you miss a line, if you forget a line, it's not the end of the world as long as your point is being made. So your number one job is to make your points. Okay, make sure you get your message across. This is where we are trying to do something that is simple, that is informative, and that does inspire a call to action, so that we can ensure that people are going to act on our speech. They're going to take our points and they're going to act on it in a beneficial way. Okay, so memorizing a speech. If it helps you and if you've got a really great memory, that's fine. Read it over 10 times, 20 times, 100 times. You'll be fine, but you will discover that, here, let me make a point of this too. The event in real time is always different than in your head while practicing. Okay, it's always going to be different. There's always going to be something that throws you off. Okay, so if you're relying on memorization And what if somebody drops their glass and it breaks on the floor while you're speaking? Everyone is taken aback, right? What if the lights go off? What if the fire alarm goes off? What if somebody is coughing like crazy? What if there's a crying baby in the audience? Okay, all of these X factors, all of these unexpected things are messing with your confidence. So if you are dealing with memorizing something, then you are going to have difficulty. Okay, these are things that trained theater actors get rattled by. And I mean trained, like people with decades of experience, that affects them as well. So you yourself giving a business speech or a wedding speech or a retirement party speech, these things will rattle you. So I recommend against having everything memorized because you will get rattled. Something will throw you. Can you imagine how nice it would be if you could give your proper speech and then somebody starts like that? You're going to get thrown off, okay? So have the source material with you, okay? Now, if you're the President of the United States, and perhaps one of my students might be someday, you're going to have a teleprompter, and they're going to do your whole speech on the teleprompter, and you can read it word for word. You don't have to have it memorized. However, most of us are not going to be the President of the United States. So have your source material with you, but let me all caps this, not verbatim. Okay, you know why? Because if you've got something that is 8 paragraphs long and it's small and you forget your place, you're going to start crumpling the paper. You're going to start looking at it. You're going to start rattling the paper around. You're going to start, oh, where am I? What am I doing? And then you're going to become dependent on it. So you're going to find that you end up looking down with your face buried in the page the entire speech, because now you're depending on reading each line and each line and each line like that. So don't do that. Know your stuff. Be prepared. Don't look it over the night before. Okay? Know your stuff well enough so that you have point form. Now with point form, you'll be fine. Chances are you might miss something. You're like, oh, I should have said that. That would have been awesome to say. I forgot that line. That's not the end of the world. The last thing you want to get stuck doing is reading from a script, reading from a speech with your head buried in it, because you're losing the audience's attention. So do not memorize it. Have something with you, cheat sheets, point form, bullet points, a general outline of the speech that you're going to give. That is going to be much more helpful than reading it verbatim off a piece of paper. Okay, so I hope that answers your question.
Appreciate it.
Sure.